The election campaign is about getting people engaged, starting to think about the issues, and part of the challenge is moving people through that process to get to election day.
Welcome to the Digital Public Affairs videocast. I'm your host, Mark Blevis. On this edition, Jennifer McKenzie, the NDP candidate for the riding of Ottawa Centre in the current Ontario provincial election, on the role digital is playing in her campaign.
We've had a lot of fun using Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram during the campaign to reach out to people in Ottawa and indeed across Ontario to get our messages out and to let people know what we're doing on any particular day. So it's been a great tool. We would adjust our communication strategy based on what the message is, who we're trying to reach, and what other options are available. So we use a combination of different types of media. Getting the Central Party's message out through my website, through Facebook and Twitter, that's a great way to pass on the messages to the people who follow me on the various media. I find Twitter to be a difficult place to actually debate because some of the issues are quite complex, and it's very hard to condense it down into a very few characters, a particular position, because it can be quite nuanced. Well, you have to be able to adapt to the particular situation. I have responded and said, this is not the best way to engage on this particular issue. I'd be happy to sit down over coffee. Different circumstances, different types of questions get different types of responses. Well, I'd love to say we have a full and comprehensive strategy, but we meet every morning and discuss what it is we'd like to get out in terms of messaging. We do have an overall communication strategy, but a lot of it is adapting and thinking on your feet, and we are doing that as a team and really enjoying that process. Well, I think for us the number one thing is to get out and meet people and talk to people on the ground. So nothing replaces the handshake and the discussion that I have with people at the door. And digital media supports that process, and anything we can do to make sure that we're addressing the concerns that we hear, or we're putting out a message that we want people to be aware of. We will use that in conjunction with canvassing and with meeting people out on the street. And the weather, I have to say, has been very supportive of both of those things.
Does digital play a role when you're actually going door to door?
Absolutely. We take pictures as we go. We post them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and people know where we've been almost minute by minute.
There was a debate that was coordinated between the four Ottawa Centre candidates taking place at a school. I guess it's next week. Mm-hmm. And then there's also this other thing that's, I think it's not unique specifically to this area, but it is one of these nice qualities within the Ottawa Centre riding, which is the four members looking out for each other's signs with the sign down hashtag. Is there anything that you can talk about that stands out for you in this campaign as either particularly positive or particularly surprising?
Well, I love the Student Vote Initiative, and I have been in during every election campaign as a school trustee to talk to the kids about the issues that matter to me, but more importantly, the issues that matter to them. And talking to the students is always great fun, and I love engaging them in the democratic process. It's been a huge priority for me as trustee and as chair of the board to breed good citizenship in our students, in our schools. And I see this as a key part of doing that. So the debate that's been organized by Fisher Park in Devonshire, and I'm not sure if there's some other schools now, I actually met a little girl on the street yesterday in grade 3 at Devonshire, and she told me she was coming to the debate and looking forward to it. So to me, that is wonderful. The sign down campaign, that seems to be something that the other participants are big on, but I have a sign team across the area, and they're all looking after different zones for me and going out on a daily or twice a day basis to check on the signs. So that's all been going very well. What I see more is people are highly engaged at the municipal level because of some of the things that have been going on over the past decade in Ottawa Centre. People are quite engaged at the federal level. They haven't really thought a lot, on a daily basis about what goes on provincially. And so the election campaign is about getting people engaged, starting to think about the issues. And part of the challenge is moving people through that process to get to election day. So that's part of the strategy from my perspective.
What do you see would be the role of digital in the next session of the legislature, whether you're part of it or not? Do you see digital taking any new leaps and bounds?
Well, certainly community consultation. As school trustee, I've held a lot of consultations with the community. One of my first jobs was reviewing French as a second language, and consultation early and really good comprehensive consultation with the community leads to better decision making. And so I think digital media has a place in that process, and we've certainly used it at the school board to reach people who can't necessarily get to the consultation physically. They're able to participate online through the web and through social media, and that's been a really important part of the process going forward. So I look forward to using that to reach constituents and everybody across Ontario as we develop policy, should I be so fortunate. Well, there's a group called ACORN who are advocating for people who live in low-income circumstances. And they have launched a campaign to make sure that everybody has access to the internet. We don't want to leave people behind and give those who can afford it an advantage and those who can't afford it a disadvantage. In today's world, things are moving so quickly. And so I took a motion to the board to make sure that we support providing low-cost access to the internet to families in need and communities in need so that they aren't left behind on this particular issue.
And where do you see digital going for Canada, for Ontario, in its role in digital democracy, in public participation, and hopefully, touch wood, one day greater voter turnout?
Yeah, it's a great way to engage youth and people who are not necessarily engaged in the democratic process, and I think that it will play a key role in how we move forward. One of the examples I would give is around Bill 115, which happened a couple of years ago, where the teachers were not pleased with the way contract negotiations were being handled. And I worked very closely with the students at that time so that they could get the student voice and bring it to the table. And I was very proud of the students for the way they reached their constituency and the way that they collected the thoughts of all the different perspectives that were out there and were able to represent them using the digital process.
Have you used digital before for public consultation?
Absolutely, we have. At the school board, we certainly have. We did a huge review of the way we deliver special education. And of course, accessibility is a huge part of special education, and digital media was able to help facilitate accessibility.
So can you describe some of the tools you used and what public response was to that?
Well, I think if you visit the school board website, you'll certainly see that we reach people by Twitter, when we want them to know if the buses are delayed. There's all sorts of things that can be used to reach people more quickly, to let them know if a school has to be evacuated for whatever reason, not to worry, or what the situation is. Things happen so quickly now, and digital media really helps to make sure that we deliver the right messages at the right time.